for a deep dive.
Sounds exciting.
Because today we're heading to Glacier National Park.
Wow.
You know, it's been nicknamed the crown of the continent.
I can see why.
And we're going way beyond just the typical tourist stuff, you know?
Right, not just the pretty pictures.
Exactly. We're going to be using this awesome website all about Montana tourism.
That sounds like a great resource.
And it's going to help us uncover, like, the real hidden heart of Glacier National Park.
I love it. Getting past those postcard perfect images, right?
Yeah, I mean, those photos of unreal turquoise lakes and the mountain peaks.
Well, they're incredible, aren't they?
But they only tell part of the story, don't you think?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. They're just glimpses.
Right.
The real magic of Glacier is how it goes so far beyond just those visuals.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, just imagine this. 1,600 square miles of almost untouched wilderness.
Wow, that's huge.
And all shaped by these ancient glaciers. Seriously, think about the power
I can't even imagine.
it took to carve those valleys and peaks we see in the photos.
It's mind-boggling. And you know what really struck me when I was reading about this?
What's that?
The sheer size of this park
Oh, yeah.
compared to how few roads there are.
Right, exactly. As our source puts it, relatively few miles of road.
It makes you realize just how much of Glacier is real, wild backcountry.
That's what makes it so special. And that's where you see the park's dedication to protecting its primitive and unspoiled beauty.
They've really made an effort to keep it wild.
Absolutely. They've prioritized nature over accessibility.
So while the Going to the Sun Road is a highlight for many,
Oh, for sure. It's amazing.
I get the sense there's a whole lot more to discover off that 50-mile stretch of pavement.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. That road's incredible. The views are breathtaking.
Oh, I bet.
It's an engineering marvel, too. Completed in 1932.
Wow.
Think about carving a road through that rugged terrain almost a century ago.
It's incredible.
But what's fascinating is that having less roads actually makes the park even wilder.
You know, it's funny you should say that because I was reading about this hiker
Oh, yeah.
named Jake Bermonto.
Well, I've heard of him.
And in 2018, he hiked AL 734 miles of trails in Glacier
Get out.
in a single summer.
That is unbelievable. 60 days it took him to do that, right?
That's right. That's what I love about Glacier's trails.
It's
They have everything from those epic multi-day hikes to shorter family-friendly ones.
totally. It's a hiker's paradise.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but we all know that even the most dedicated hiker
Uh-huh.
needs a good place to rest
Of course.
and refuel, right?
Side of it.
So let's talk about those charming little towns surrounding the park.
Oh, great.
Whitefish, Kalispell, Polebridge. Just saying those names makes me want to sit by a campfire, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. But they're so much more than just pit stops. They're like an integral part of the Glacier experience.
Oh, interesting.
They're your chance to connect with local life.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, meet the people who actually call this amazing region home.
I get it.
Adds a whole other layer to your trip.
And I was reading about how Whitefish was named one of the top 25 ski towns in the world
No way.
by National Geographic.
That's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
Mhm.
You can go from hiking in Glacier to hitting the slopes at a world-class ski resort.
All in the same area.
Exactly.
It's amazing how diverse this region is.
Speaking of diverse, let's talk about Polebridge.
Oh, yeah, Polebridge. What about it?
Our source described it as, well, almost off the grid.
Really?
Yeah, with a historic mercantile and a saloon lit by propane lamps.
Wow. Seriously.
It sounds like stepping back in time.
It really does. And
Yeah.
you know what we're starting to see here?
What's that?
Glacier National Park is just one piece of a much bigger, richer experience.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that.
It's not just a park, it's like its own world.
I love that. It's a whole world waiting to be explored.
Exactly.
It really is a whole world. And it's not just the different places,
Right.
but the different ways you can experience them, you know.
Totally.
Like our source talks about this 5-day trip
Boy.
called the Backbone of the Rockies,
I love that name.
which really seems to capture that whole spirit of Montana, you know.
It really does. Backbone of the Rockies. It just makes you think of adventure.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. And exploration, like it perfectly defines the region.
And what I find interesting about this particular itinerary
What's that?
is how it really encourages you to slow down.
Oh, I like that.
Savor the journey, connect with the people and places you encounter along the way.
It's not just about checking things off a list.
Yeah,
It's about really, truly experiencing Montana, you know?
I love that. And speaking of soaking things in,
Yeah.
can we talk about those turquoise lakes for a minute?
Oh, of course, the iconic Glacier Lakes.
You can't talk about Glacier without mentioning Lake McDonald.
Or St. Mary Lake.
They're practically poster children for the park.
They are. And you know what's really cool about them?
What?
That incredible color.
Oh, yeah.
It actually comes from glacial silt.
Oh.
Yep. Tiny little rock particles
Wow.
suspended in the water.
Huh.
They reflect light in a way that creates that amazing blue-green.
Wow. I had no idea.
Isn't it amazing?
That's so cool.
How something so tiny can create something so beautiful.
It makes you realize that every single detail in Glacier has a story to tell.
Totally.
From the mountains to the tiniest wildflower.
And those stories are all connected to the history of the region,
Yeah, you're right.
like the Blackfeet, Kootenai, and Salish tribes.
Oh, right.
They've called this area home for centuries.
It's incredible.
Their presence is still so strong in the park's names and its stories and its traditions.
It makes you think about all the layers of history
Doesn't it?
embedded in the landscape.
From the glaciers to the indigenous
To
cultures
the pioneers.
of all there.
But it's not just about the past, right?
True.
I mean, Glacier's facing some really big challenges today.
Yeah, like what?
Like climate change, for example.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to think about the glaciers receding.
It's happening at an alarming rate, too.
It really is a reminder of how fragile this ecosystem is.
Absolutely. And how vital it is to protect it.
Yeah, for future generations.
Exactly.
It's kind of a sobering thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But in a way, it makes me appreciate the opportunity to experience Glacier even more.
I get that.
It's like a call to action.
It is, right.
To not take this place for granted.
To be responsible.
Exactly. So with all that in mind,
Yeah.
what does this mean for someone planning a trip to Glacier?
That's a good question.
Like, what kind of experience should they be prepared for?
Well, I think it's less about what they should experience
Okay.
and more about what they're actually looking for.
I see what you mean.
Are they looking for a challenge?
Right.
Like those hardcore hikes.
Yeah, or maybe they just want to relax.
Exactly. Maybe they're more drawn to scenic drives or boat tours.
Or just those cozy evenings in one of those charming towns.
Right. The point is, Glacier has something for everyone.
It's like there are all these different versions of Glacier
That's a great way to put it.
waiting to be discovered.
By all these different types of travelers.
And the beauty of it is you can blend those experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can totally tailor your trip
Ooh.
to your interests, your desires, your energy levels.
So the question for everyone listening is,
What kind of glacier experience are you seeking?
yeah, it really is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of place.
It is, and I think that's what makes it so appealing.
Right, to so many different types of people.
Totally. You can have such different experiences depending on what you're into.
Your interests, your fitness level, even just your travel style.
For sure. Some folks might be drawn to that challenge,
Right, like conquering a tough trail.
Yeah, just like Jake Bramante.
Yeah.
While others might find more joy in those gentler explorations.
Like a scenic drive.
Exactly. Maybe a boat tour on Lake McDonald.
Oh, yeah, that sounds nice.
Or even just like taking pictures of wildflowers along the Trail of the Cedars.
And then there are those who are fascinated by those towns we talked about.
Oh, the gateway towns?
Yeah, they really want to soak up the local atmosphere.
Get some huckleberry pie.
Yes. Or learn about the indigenous heritage of the area.
It's about more than just the park itself.
It really is. It's like this whole tapestry of experiences.
It surrounds it, yeah.
And that's what makes Glacier National Park so much more than just a vacation spot.
Absolutely.
It's a place that invites you to connect with something bigger,
Totally.
something larger than yourself.
Whether that's the power of nature or the echoes of history.
Or just the spirit of this unique place.
It's special.
It's interesting. Our source really focused on the tourism side of things,
Right.
but it's clear that there's something much deeper here.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Almost like Glacier acts as a mirror,
Ooh, I like that.
reflecting back our own values, desires, even
It
aspirations.
makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, what are we really seeking when we travel?
What impact do we want to have on the places we visit?
How can we be more mindful?
More responsible?
Exactly.
These are questions we're thinking about.
They really are.
It's not just about checking a place off our bucket list.
Nope.
It's about engaging with it in a meaningful way,
Respecting the land.
appreciating its history.
And maybe even learning a bit about ourselves in the process.
That's beautifully said, and I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners today.
I agree.
As you plan your own Glacier National Park adventure,
Think about the journey,
the connections you'll make.
the stories you'll bring back with you.
And who knows, maybe your glacier experience will spark something.
Yeah.
A desire to explore other wild places.
New challenges, new horizons.
The world is full of amazing places waiting to be discovered.
It really is.
Each with its own story to tell.
So get out there.
Explore and keep seeking those crown of the continent moments.
In your own life.